Phil Greco, graduated class of 2000, born in New York City, raised in northern New Jersey, and found my way to the University of Scranton after growing up in New Jersey. And really enjoyed the school and everything about it.
Or entering into job positions, or like, how do you, if it did, how do you think it really impacted that experience?
You know what's funny? I never thought about it much, and then we were on one of the recent alumni board group conversations, and a girl I graduated with, Nicole Young, who is one of the senior producers at 60 Minutes, so very well accomplished, and she hit it right on the head, where she goes, even though the University of Scranton is fairly well known, you go places and you don't, it's not a name that is as recognizable as a Michigan or Ohio State or Harvard or whatever else may be. So she's like, there was something special about the university, that they prepare you to be hungry and learn and be scrappy. And she goes, I got in, and I can say the same thing. I interned at JP Morgan Chase, where everyone else was from like a Harvard or a Yale. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was hungry and scrappy, and I was just going to outwork people. And I feel like there's a little bit of that on the university of it teaches you to, to be curious and to figure things out, and going back to that well-rounded piece. So I just flat out outwork people. I was going in earlier, I was staying later, I was getting very creative, going around the business to sort of get other people's opinions if I was working on a project or initiative, to just make it better. And I guess I didn't at the time recognize that some of that was learned behavior at the U, but when I look back, I think it's that. So I actually do think that there's a competitive advantage, and it's like, call it whatever you will, but I do think Scranton, I mean, you're also in this old coal mining town that is the forgotten town in some ways, but it's so scrappy, and the school is the heartbeat of that city. And I think a lot of that sort of plays into what you become, but you don't realize it at the time. So I think that's the case.
Definitely. And honestly, I've seen that from my time here, just like people's stories about after graduation, like, it's a new experience. You're right out of college, and it's nerve-wracking because it's, like, you're starting your career and everything. But, at the end of the day, everybody isn't as like worried about it as others, because I feel like you really do get those connections right out of college. Like, Scranton really prepares you for that. So
Yeah.
that's been relieving for me to hear. And especially you just saying that right now, I'm like, it's just reassuring, because it's like, I am totally like, oh my gosh, looking forward in the future. But I am like very trusting in our process at the university that, I will get where I need to be, because we have all the resources and everybody who, will be helpful and get you there. So that's really
It's
awesome.
100% a trust in the process. I think that's a
Yeah.
good point. And it is, your first job out of college is just your first job. It's your springboard, whether it's somewhere that you decide to stay for a long time and build a career, or it's a stepping stone. Like, again, it's just a part of the process. So it is a little good to have a little of that worry and so forth, because that's what drives you to, I got to buckle down. I got to spend an extra night in the library, or, at home, and skip that party tonight to work through this. Like, that's helping to prepare you. And that worry and concern, like, that's also a good thing. So if you harness it and go, I'm going to dive a little harder, like, that's what helps you sort of progress. So it's a good thing.
What would you say is a typical day working at Monster um, Agency?
So yeah, it's funny, for Monster, and obviously, growing up on the East Coast, Red Bull is clearly more dominant in like the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, but Monsters were larger than them in the US and in other parts of the world. So it's interesting, but I don't really focus. Obviously, we're well known. If you turn on the TV on Saturday, you see a UFC fight, or pro bull riding, supercross, NASCAR. The list goes on and on. Um, from my world, the day to day is focused on, from a brand perspective, whether it's launching new products, new innovations, whether it's, how do we communicate zero sugar, low calorie, which a lot of our products do. But at the same time, we're not a company that just goes out like a Coca-Cola would and go, try this out, it's low sugar, and like people are smiling and drinking it. Like that's just not our brand ethos or who we are. So we need to figure out the right ways to communicate that while still sort of staying true to the brand ethos. So a lot of it is spent around building out brand plans and working cross-functionally across the business, working with our sales team that works with the major retailers and customer marketing to build out, okay, we're building out a plan. Now, how does that come to life in a custom way in 7-Eleven versus Circle K versus Wawa versus Sam's Club? Or field marketing that fills in the gaps in a lot of markets with regionalized, like, hey, we're going to take advantage of some of these concerts or music festivals. And then working with category management and consumer insights to better understand the consumer and their behavior. And, there are people that love drinking Monster because they love the brand. And there are people that could care less about the brand, but they're just looking for a kick of energy to get them through their day or through their night or party or weekend. And how do we speak to them in different ways? So a lot of it is spent around understanding the consumer, understanding the trends or behaviors, our sales going up or down in markets and why, and digging into those details, or sort of looking ahead. So those are the big things. Always a different day, but at the same time, there's some consistencies.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's what makes it exciting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I just took an advertising course this past semester, and our professor, I had Dr. Smolowitz, and she, like, she said consumer insights, like really getting to know who's buying your product, and that's key. And it's really cool to see, you're applying those into your career today, and I'm really excited about that. And
it's so funny because look, it's daunting, especially when you
yeah,
spend time digging into like a Nielsen or IRI report, and you're just looking at spreadsheets, and you just don't even know where to start. And
exactly.
5 years ago, my head was spinning, and now my role is a little bit more focused on it. And no matter what you do in business, if you're going to go into the business world, even if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, like data and analytics are going to be key to how your career grows. It's like know the finances and the numbers, which is crazy because you're like, there's other people for that. But like if you're going to be a, high up executive in PR, marketing, so you have to have a firm understanding of the finances and the analytics, which is it's daunting. It's not easy, but it's taking time, going through it, asking questions, not being afraid to ask questions that you're nervous about asking, because most people don't know. And the other people that are the experts are usually more than happy to share because it's their expertise and they want to show that. So it's good. It's really important. And clearly with, digital and social media, and mobile, everything, there's just 1,000 more layers of analytics, but it's trying to figure out, like, let's hone it down to like 2 or 3 things that will help us make a decision. What are like the big things? What are the big bets? Why do they care? Why do they want to buy this? Why are our sales dropping? And understand the different motivations and so forth. So the more you can get into that earlier in your career, I promise you it will help you, but you're going to bang your head against the wall because it's not easy stuff for most of us, myself included.
Yeah, no, that sounds like daunting to me too.
It's fun. You learn, you adapt, but it's hard. It's no different than when you're first being told, here's a blank page, write a press release. And you're like, where do I even start thinking through the structure and everything else? It's a learned behavior like anything. So you learn, you make mistakes, you get better, and you learn to develop very good relationships with others because I can lean on others across the business that are way smarter than me. And because we have a good relationship, they seem to like me, I'm able to get them to help me with things that otherwise wouldn't happen. So like all of those things do come into play. That's the socialization. That's the even like convincing your friends to go somewhere else instead. Like those skills will, I promise you, will find your way throughout your career.
So, kind of going off that, what advice would you say you have to give to students on really how to manage stress in schoolwork?
There will be a week where you have to work late and it is what it is. And you just have to, in my opinion, just put your head down and buckle down and get it done. But make sure you take time to, celebrate that or reward yourself or do whatever you're going to do. But it's trying to find things that make you happy. You may not care about yoga, but maybe it's going for a run, or maybe it's, running up to Krispy Kreme or something like that. It's like, and that's okay too. Like, it's just finding whatever works for you.
Definitely. And, kind of wanting Krispy, no, just kidding. But that's very true. And
When the hot machine's on.
and especially on those like late nights, like you were talking about, I could use the Monster. No, I had to throw that in there. I'm just kidding.
Just saying. I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, exactly. Like for those late study nights, you need something to keep you awake, right?
Who you surround yourself with is very important. The people that are motivated to do well in life, health, everything else, that's going to rub off on you and vice versa. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun friends, party friends, or friends that can do all of the above and do it well. That's fantastic too. But it's just being very mindful of that, and that will carry through in life and your career long after. If you move to a different location or a new job, like, you're going to want to find the people that are, it feels like, are on the upward trajectory, because that will motivate you, that will drive you. Or it'll be people that are just kind of complaining constantly, and you get roped into that just as easily. So it's really important, like, who your inner circle is.
What would you say are some memories that you still carry with you from your time at the university to this day?
Yeah, so it's funny. I remember when I was in PRSSA, we ended up pulling together and running an event for charity. So at the time, this is when MTV was a way bigger deal in the 90s, but they had a TV show called Singled Out. Jenny McCarthy was like one of the co-hosts, and it was a dating show. So we literally pulled that together in the Long Center on campus, literally. And my job was to sort of pull the whole thing together. Was like, need to find someone to go DJ, need to find someone to help me with signage, need someone to help me promote it, I need to find 3 single guys and 3 single girls, and like 1 bachelor, 1 bachelorette, and like just build the whole thing out. And it was such a fun experience. And we were going to like Goodfellas, going, can you donate a couple pizzas? Can you, a couple other places, can you donate like $50 for like a dinner date? And just all the pieces and pulling it together. And it was so much fun. It was so silly. I hope to God there's not a videotape of that anywhere. And I'm saying videotape, but yeah, that was an incredible memory.
I just wanted to ask you, like, when you were at the U, where was your favorite place to spend time? Like, could be on campus, could be off campus, both, whatever. Was your favorite place?
It's funny, like, favorite place. I spent way too much time at like Goodfellas and Grand Teeds, way too much time. The hot wing hoagie was like my go-to back in the day. The cheeseburgers, everything. God, I was clearly driven by food. And then we would drive over to Steamtown Mall, or drive up to Perkins or something else.
Yeah.
Drive out to the lake a couple times. Yeah, I think it was fun too. Just, it was interesting, the houses when you were off campus and your friends were off campus, and you're like, are we going to 9:10 tonight, or 12:12, or 12:24? And
that's funny.
The people that don't go to the U, they're like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
It's such a funny language. And clearly in our day, it was like, hey, I'll meet you guys at 9:00 at this place. If they weren't there, like, we didn't have cell phones, so you were just like, you're literally asking people, where's Joe? They're like, I don't know, I haven't seen him. And it's just like, it's amazing, because your nights ended up going in very different directions just because it was unplanned. So yeah, I enjoyed that part of the U as well. Just,
that's awesome.
Yeah, there were a lot of again, endless memories, good ones.
What advice do you have for our future royals coming into the university, and our current royals who are studying, within our lovely comm and media department, or even, outside of that department, like our department, but just kind of like your general advice.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is for incoming students, again, I would go back to the like find your people. And I actually do think it's really important to find people that are going to keep you sort of grounded and focused. And again, you'll find the other people very easily, but like those few people that are like your sounding boards keeps you focused and you keep them focused, I think is incredibly important. And the rest of the stuff you'll figure out and find your way. And then for while you're there, again, just get involved, take advantage of this unique time in life to be curious, learn new things, join different groups. And to your point, like if it's the media center or media group or PRSSA, like you're building your portfolio. So when you walk out, you shouldn't have to worry one bit, because yes, it's not easy to get conversations and meetings and stuff, but as you network and you're able to put this in front of people, you'll just stand out. So it's really important. Like I would love to say a GPA is important, and it is important, but they're going to care much more about like prove to me that you can do this type of work and you can learn and you can adapt and you can, work hard. And you could just say, I was in these different groups and organizations. Here's some of my project work. It really stands out.